Welcome to the Animal Combo Project Part 6. In this tutorial, we're going to share how to basically set up our size for our book. I have the final image here basically painted, and that's all done in the group here. I've grouped it together, so you can see here on the paint layer. And I have a merged copy of the whole image on here. Again, you do that just by adding new layer. So if I was going to do this again, add new layer, and then you hit, I'll turn off the paint layer here, and turn off the gray down here at the bottom, and all your other layers are on, and basically hit this hotkey of Control Shift Alt E, which gives you a merged copy of everything that's visible in your scene here. Okay, so I've already done that, so I don't need to have that that new layer. So I'll go back to the open here, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this group and send it over to the other document, which is this one here. This cool landscape. Now the landscape here, if you look at it, the light is kind of going from the right to the left, from the sky, because there's more shadows on the left side here. And if we look at my image here, it's kind of going the opposite direction. So I could flip the animal here, or I could flip the landscape. So I double clicked on the layer in between the tutorial just by double clicking to unlock it. And then go to Control T, which is to free transform, which is under Edit. Free transform is the hotkey, and then right click on it and then go to flip horizontal, which flips the other direction, and then hit enter. And again, this image comes from Pexels, so I thank them. They're a great source for open source photos. Now I can click on the group here, right click and duplicate group, and send it over to this Animal Combo 6, which is the new title I called this. And there it is. So it's in the scene here. Now I will eventually have to scale this down. Eventually it's going to have to happen. For right now, let's just kind of let it sit here. Now if we go back to the original one that I had done before, if we go to image size, you can see that it is 9.5 by 12. So I kind of want to use that book size again, and so I can do that by going File, New. That's one way to do it, and create a new document and type in those values. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this actual image here with the crop tool to set up the new settings. And this isn't going to always work. It depends on what size your image is, because you don't want to essentially scale up images typically. So this one does have a fairly large size, so it works pretty well. It's not perfect, but I'll explain here in a moment how to fix the issues that are going to be in here. So I'm going to click on the crop tool, and the thing you want to uncheck is this delete option up here. This will delete the pixels, so you have to uncheck that. And then you can choose, in the options here, you can choose ratio. So once you do that, you can put in whatever value you want. So I'm going to put in 9.5. And this goes based upon your measurements in here. And I have inches set up. So if I click OK, 9.5. There we go. And then in here, I go with 12. And here's my image size. Now you can see that there's pixels down at the bottom, which are open pixels, meaning it's transparent, based on that checkerboard pattern. It's okay, we're going to fix this in a moment. So for right now, I can click the little checkbox here, or I can hit enter accept. And I do want to share with you, once I do that, that if I click on the move tool here and click on the background, I still have that image in the background here. It's very important. I'm actually going to bring it down to the bottom here so that the sand drops to the bottom here. And I can still move around the group of the animal. You can see it's not cropped in any way, which is really nice. That's super important about that little uncheck for the delete pixels. You don't want to delete it when you crop. So I'm going to turn off this the animal group here for temporarily. And what I'm ultimately going to do is scale up the sky here and give me more room here. And the way you can do this is you can select this layer here, and you have to make sure it's unlocked. So if it is locked like this, you just got to double click on it to unlock it, or click on the lock symbol to unlock it. And what I'm going to do is grab the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to drag across the sky here for about like so big. And this doesn't work for every image, but this is a nice smooth gradient essentially in the background, so it'll work really well. I'm going to go to Edit and go down to Content Aware Scale. And what you do is you grab the top section here, and you can basically pull it up. And what it'll do is it'll scale up that sky essentially. And then I just hit enter accept, and then I can hit Control D to accept the transform. And usually it does a pretty good job. There is kind of a line here. I'm going to undo a couple of times here. Let me try it one more time. Edit, content aware scale. And this time I'm going to hold shift and just kind of grab from that center and then release. I didn't hold shift and then hit enter and then hit control D, and there we go, we got a cleaner line. So the issue was that I was scaling up the whole thing, and I forgot proportions automatically locked. So you have to hold the shift key to kind of drag up now. But now you can see if I zoom in here, it's nice and smooth. If there are some weird little aberrations, there are some weird spots in the sky here. One brush that you can use is kind of nice is this spot healing brush. It really is like magic. You just basically paint over the area here, and Photoshop does a really good job of kind of basically cloning through an algorithm to make that area sort of cleaned up. So if there's any other little mistakes, I could do that in here. But overall, I like what I have here. So now I'm going to turn on my animal group, and what I'm going to do with this group here is I'm going to right click on it and convert it to smart object. That way it'll create a protective container, so when I scale it, I won't lose any resolution if I scale it up or down. So I'm going to hit Control T to free transform, and I'm just going to grab a corner here and drag down. So I don't want this to fill the entire page. I want to have some room for a title up here. I am going to make it a little bit bigger, maybe something like that seems appropriate. But the nice thing, because it is a smart object, I could change on the fly if I have to later on. To accept, all I got to do is hit enter return or click the little checkbox up here to accept. And so that sets up my document. Now I'm ready to go. I have my document all set up for the Animal Combo Book Project. Until next time, see you soon. Cheers.